Think back. What are places in your life that you experienced an immediate change? An immediate change. So this wasn't happening or this was happening. Next moment, it is or isn't happening. Going back into my own thought process with that question, immediate change. I remember in school, there were math problems, specifically word problems that I couldn't do. Like they were frustrating. I was irritated. I was angry. I was upset. It just didn't make sense up here. And I would struggle and I'd get the questions wrong and I'd reread it and over and over. And then there was a moment where oh, I get it. And that was pretty wild, like a relief, really, when it comes to school. It's like, oh, like our whole thing is pass classes and move on to the next grade and follow the rules and follow the instructions and complete the assignments and all. And so that not being able to do something was very stressful. So a massive relief from that. Outside of like math, going, God, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Oh, I get it. There was a moment in soccer practice. I think I was like 14-ish years old, goalkeeper. And, we have to punt the ball. And most of the time, you just put the ball out, you drop it, and you hit it before it hits the ground. And that would be a classic punt. My coach came up and he was like, hey, have you ever tried a drop kick? And I was like, oh, like kind of in indoor, like you can't really punt in indoor. There's a ceiling to it. It's a smaller field, but you can kind of let it bounce and hit a little one. And I was like, yeah, I kind of did something like that in indoor. He goes, have you ever tried it on a full field for like getting us out? At the time, now like watching World Cup, goalkeepers are expected to play with their feet. You're supposed to keep possession pretty much anytime you touch it. I grew up in a different world of goalkeepers get the ball as far and as you can. So that was really the only goal, was get it out of our half. So he said, have you ever played with a drop kick? And I went, no, I haven't. First one, gone. Further than I could punt any ball. And that was an immediate change. I didn't have to think about it. I didn't have to look at it. Wild. Outside of that, really the immediate change stuff came from injuries. I was fine. I didn't wake up on a day and go, feels like I'm going to hurt my shoulder today. But we don't really think of pain or an injury as immediate. It's just kind of like, oh, bummer. Oh no. We start worrying about it. But in reality, I was fine. Something happened. And so that was kind of every injury I had. There were some obvious ones, like getting beamed in the spine by a really fast pitcher when we were kids. Yeah, that's an immediate pain. It makes a little bit more sense. I got hit by a baseball. My shoulder issue, punching a ball away, forward runs through my arm, immediate pain, immediately can't use that arm the same way. Same thing in the spring season when the kid sprinted through my extended elbow. Immediate pain, couldn't move the same way. In the gym setting, there was never anything immediate of like, oh, I'm just like I've just picked up a new weight that I've never even thought about. It was kind of always incremental. You could expect I can lift this. It's just a matter of like 3 or 4 times. So there was no immediate change in that. There was never immediate change in my body composition, body fat, muscle mass, the physique and how you look. Immediate change. Where in life have you experienced immediate change? One of the worst immediate changes that I have had in my life was a calf injury. So I lived in a small mountain town. I got a job opportunity in the valley on the other side of the mountains. There was a period where I was driving from that mountain town to the valley for about 3 hours. Then I was driving from my parents' place where I was staying while I was in the valley to the work, which was an hour away. And I went, boy, I am traveling a lot. I'm driving a lot. I'm driving mountain passes. I've really got to be aware. We'll talk about threat buckets, but ultimately everybody's got a threat bucket, and if it starts overflowing, you start getting performance issues, injury or illnesses, injuries, aches, pains, so on and so forth. You keep pushing and you don't do anything to reduce that amount of threat, and it overflows and something bad happens. So I'm like, man, I am filling my threat bucket with a lot of driving. A lot of driving. We've already talked about sensory mismatch in the flight video, but there's still a lot of stress that we don't really take account of when it comes to driving vehicles or riding in vehicles. So there's a lot of stress, even whether you know it or not. So I was going, okay, I'm working a lot. I'm working in this small mountain town. I'm working in the valley. I'm splitting time between them. It's about 6 hours on the road round trip to get to home. Sometimes I had to go from a different place, like there was one where it was from Seattle. That's a long drive. I don't recommend it for anyone. Anyone that lives in small mountain towns and has to commute a long way to get to kind of civilized stuff, I feel for you. It is intense. So I knew I was already kind of at this precipice of overflowing my threat bucket. I had to be aware not to be angry. Like those are kind of my tells when I know I need to focus on me. I need to do something to reduce that threat, whether it's mindfulness, meditation, going for a walk, doing my drills, breathing stuff, eating a prolonged good period of food. There's a lot of different things. Even just a couple really good nights sleep can help that reduce that overall stress or threat. Stress and threat will interchange as you listen to me and we chat. But the immediate, so I knew I had to be aware. It's like, man, I'm driving a lot, I'm working a lot, I'm meeting a lot of new people, meeting a lot of new kids, starting in a new job setting, don't really have duties and responsibilities, so my job is kind of unclear on how much I need to do, how little I should do, and my default is do as much as I can. It's just kind of how I'm wired, especially when kids are involved. I look at working with kids as a responsibility to help them develop, not just be around them, not just run something that they're a part of. Like if I'm involved with kids, it's my responsibility, part of my job. It's to make sure that they are developing into better human beings. It takes a village, and I understood intuitively my position as a coach because I have seen both. I experienced both. I've experienced what a great coach can do for you as a person. I've experienced what a bad coach can do for you as a person. And I went, man, if I'm going to be coaching, I need to be at the absolute top of the good coach spectrum because I dealt with some real challenges in my own career with coaches that we'll just call them coaches. They're guys that needed to make a living. They played soccer. Well, might as well make some money on the side and be a soccer coach. But again, there is a responsibility there that is very, very, very important to me. So I'm looking like I'm ramped up. I am working a lot. So I get to a field. It's a new group that I'm just kind of getting to know everybody, getting to know different groups and teams, and I get to the field. I'm expecting to run do some work with some goalkeepers of an age group. And I get there and someone else is late and they have the soccer balls. So, hey, Joe, run a sports performance warm up. It's like, sick. Love that. Like, I love doing the sports performance work. This was just a goalkeeper coach position. But I did say, hey, like, I'm a performance coach. I've used goalkeeping to get in to do performance work. But fundamentally, I am a neuroathletic performance coach. So if I can do anything to work on warm-ups, cool downs, work with individual athletes, I'm in. So it was, hey, run a warm-up for this group. I went, sick. All right, game on. So we start, and I like to demo things. I like to show, so that there's some sort of an idea from them, that they have an understanding of visual representation of what I'm asking them to do while I'm talking them through it. So you're just hitting your different ways of learning as much as you can. People are hearing it, people are seeing it, people are seeing demos they can replicate. So where I'm doing things, do this, go. Now watch this, go. We get to the end of the warm up and we were going to play some knee tag. It's just a little agility game. It's exactly what it sounds like. It is a great activity for kids to learn how to see, make a decision, and then move. That is anything that we do in life comes down to that hierarchy. See or sense, decide, interpret, act, execute, move, whatever you want, the action side. So we live in a world where we focus on only the action. We just leave the senses and the decision making to the wayside. Hopefully it works. We don't do anything about it, even though we talk about vision all the time. We talk about games are played between the ears. It's actually, yeah, it's completely real. Yet we focus on mostly the action, body movement. Body does this. Challenge the body in this environment. Challenge the body in that environment. If we flip it and start thinking about how are we challenging senses, perception, vision, hearing, touch, whatever, how are we making them challenge their decision-making process? Really cool is you'll see the actions improve just like they would, maybe even better than just working on them themselves. So training athletes, working with teams is getting more complex and more global. We need to work on what you're looking at. We need to work on how you're making decisions and what decisions you're making. We also obviously need to work on your body, how you move, your power, your strength, your technique within your sport. All of it makes up athletic performance. So we're playing knee tag. The rules, I'm going to try and tag your knee before you tag my knee. We can't block. We can't swat. We can't go to the ground. We can't run away. So really, it's you are right there with somebody and you're trying to tag their knee and dodge them tagging your knee for a certain amount of time. So I go, all right, let's demo it. I see a real tall kid. I went, hey, super tall kid, let's do this. And we start playing, and I go and dodge one of his touches, and it felt like someone kicked me in the back of the leg. And I was in the athletic training program for 2.5 years. We did all of the kind of signs and symptoms of injuries, how athletes report them stuff. And as soon as I stepped back, got angry and went, why did someone kick me from behind? And then realizing no one was there, the initial flash in my head was, did I seriously just blow my Achilles tendon out in the middle of this soccer field playing knee tag? That was the initial thought. But with a neurologic education, a applied neurology education, understanding modern pain science, I was able to put that aside and go, fine, get through the rest of the conversation. I didn't demo anymore, obviously, and got them going. And I went, all right, let's see how bad this is. I take a step and go, okay. And then I go take a step forward and went, okay. And then I went to transfer my weight over that foot. And it didn't go well. Did not go well. Like 9 out of 10 to pain, immediately make me stop moving. If you didn't know, that is the definition of pain. We use pain way too flexibly. Pain is a signal, a feeling that immediately makes you stop moving and most likely takes your breath away. So that moment, that's what I had. Everything else is considered discomfort. It's not to be ignored, but we do need to separate because everything is not pain. The kid that is dealing with an ankle thing that can play, that doesn't have a lot of limitations, that would much rather have that feeling not be there, that's discomfort. We need to get away from it being painful. But any which way, immediate pain. I went, oh boy. All right, well, I still have to get through this practice. So literally, I am just now I gotta go work with the goalkeepers. So now, hey fellas, go over there. I'll see you over there. And it was just just freaking miserable. I couldn't transfer my weight. So I just put my foot out in front and then caught back up with the other foot. And then that got so, and then I'm with the goalkeepers, I'm standing there. Like I am coaching them on the spot. Hey, do this a little bit more. Typically, I like to be more interactive, more involved, even hit some shots or whatever we're working on. But me standing next to post, just coaching, get through it. Okay, the team's going to scrimmage now. Whew, made it. But I still have to get over there to the sideline next to the other coach. And so I start, I can't even do the forward shuffle anymore. So it became, I can't show you. There's Huckleberry. Hi, Huck. He doesn't like this at all. He wants to be outside or at least have all of my attention. So I had to start sidestepping. Same idea, just a little step, catch up. Little step, catch up. So I sidestepped over. And now that I'm stationary and, I have faked it until I made it to a point where the kids weren't there and the kids weren't watching, like that's when the pain, that's when the discomfort part, the throbbing part, it all started just cascading in. And I'm trying my best. Like I'm trying to just, again, understanding pain and how this stuff works is really, really helpful intuitively in the moment when you're dealing with, I'm fine. I just demoed a whole sports performance warm up. Pop, what the heck? Can't walk. So immediate change in life. And when, hey, talking to the coach, it's like, I'm like, we're about 15 minutes out and I've got a 400, 500 yard walk to hey, lay down. Lay down. Huckleberry. Lay down. Lay down. Lay down. What a good boy. That's a good job. Stay. Dog Training 101. Highlight the positive. Oh, he did it again. Try and get them to a place where they are demonstrating the behavior you want and then celebrate it like they are performing. It's awesome. So instead of don't do that, don't do that, don't do that, give them the command, give them what you want, patiently wait for it. That's the hardest part. And then when they do something good, let's celebrate it like you just won the World Cup. And that was a very mild win of the World Cup. Back to where we were. So I've got like a 300, 400 something yard walk from the middle of soccer fields to my truck. And I've got like 15 minutes left in practice. I was like, hey man, I'm going to start getting out of here. He goes, yeah, I noticed like did you do something? I was like, yeah, I did something. He goes, what did you do? And I was like, well, I don't know. I did something to my calf. And I had shorts on and I showed him and he goes, oh, I'm like, what? He goes, dude, that is like huge in comparison to your other calf. I was like, yep, looks like I got an issue I got to deal with. So I sidestepped my way. Practice did end, but before I got back to the truck, just sidestepping my way, 400, 300 yards to be conservative. I finally get in the truck and I just, oh my God, I can't believe, I knew I needed to be careful. I knew I needed to be aware. I am very stressed in great ways. I'm starting new stuff. I'm still working in the mountain town, all great stuff, but nonetheless, still stress, still threat for a nervous system that is designed for moment to moment to moment to moment survival. Everything is potentially threatful. That's why we use threat bucket, not just stress bucket. But I get in the car or I get in the truck and go, just get home, start working. This is what I will do for other people, and now I get to try and do it for myself. So I get home. I'm tired. It's 8:45 at this point. I get that's right. This is after I moved. So I was going back and forth for about 3 weeks. I went, there's work opportunities in the valley. There's a very exciting opportunity here. Let me take the jump. Like, I left a lot of great stuff and a lot of great people in that mountain town. I loved it. I still love it. But I needed to see what this was. There was pre-professional USL2 involved. There was the ECNL, which is a good level of soccer in the country, involved. Goalkeeping was a big time a part of it, and I went, I gotta see what this is. Like, I loved my experience in San Diego. I hadn't found that experience again in youth soccer in Oregon. Now I know it's just here. It's in the basement compared to what Southern California soccer is. And it has nothing to do with population. It has everything to do with adults. But maybe later. Back to now I'm at home. I forgot that this was after I had moved. So I just moved from that mountain town. Hey, let's throw that threat bucket up and stress bucket up a little bit more. So that night, I was just like, I just want to be done. I don't want to think about this. So I ended up doing some lymphatic drainage. You have lymphatic ducts underneath your collarbones. So, and they kind of, boy, I would have to go back. I believe it's the left side takes care of left upper body and both legs. Right side takes care of right upper body. I don't know. But that's the reality of it. So I had a right leg, something went pop, couldn't walk, tons of pain, tons of discomfort. And so I just went, the coach said it was massive, so there's a ton of swelling in there. The lymphatic system takes care of swelling. If you can avoid ice and the whole RICE thing, rest, ice, compress, and elevate. Compress and elevate are really the only two that stood up. As we have gained more and more knowledge on how we work as people from a nervous system perspective. Ice, great if you want to just change the signal. I'm tired of this discomfort, this pain signal. Put ice on it, it shares the same pathway. But no, you are not healing things by icing it. You are simply changing the sensation. The elevation side, yeah, letting gravity help bring things back to your midline. That can be helpful. Compression, definitely. You just have to be aware of how you're compressing things and for how long. If you wrap from the top down, that's not going to be very good for everything in the lower extremity. You got to go from the bottom up and the outside in to kind of feed all that fluid back into your midline and back up into the areas that take care of all of that inflammation. The rest part, move. That's the new recommendation. Find a way to move, no matter how slow, how small, even if it's the joint above it. Don't just sit there and wait, and especially don't immobilize if at all possible. I'm not a doctor. Take it for what it's worth. It's working for me. It works for other people. It makes sense neurologically. The other stuff doesn't quite make sense neurologically, even though we do it to our bodies. So I'm just doing some lymphatic drainage, just holding that spot, creating traction, and just breathing. Deep breaths in and out. Your lymphatic system needs muscle contraction and respiration to just get things going. If you didn't know, your lymphatic system takes care of all the garbage that you produce in your body. So pop, massive amounts of stuff goes to that area to try and start the healing process. A lot of stuff gets broken up and damaged, so there's garbage in that area. That's really what inflammation is. It's not something to be terrified of if it's a acute inflammation response, so a short-term response. It's not oh my God, I've had swelling in my ankle for a day. I got to get it out. No, it's probably there for a really good reason. It's the long-term, full body inflammation that is what we talk about when we say inflammation's bad. Local inflammation to manage an injury is what we have evolved to do to this point, and I'm pretty sure it's probably doing all right if you let it. So I just went, just breathe, lymphatic drainage, go to bed. I woke up, zero potential of putting weight on that foot. there is absolutely nothing that is going to happen here. So I go, oh boy, I kind of knew that was coming. And I look down and it's like, yeah, that thing is massive. There's no discoloration, but my God, my calf, it was huge. And I go, okay. And I just sat on the floor. I did a quick Thompson test just to see, was it like the Achilles tendon, like I still had definition there that night. So I'm like, I think I'm all right there. But I did the Thompson test, which is just a special test where you squeeze the calf, and if your foot moves, that means the Achilles is intact. Squeeze it, it's intact. I go, I wonder what the pop was. It was pretty deep in there, and it was like jolting, like felt like an abrupt stoppage, and someone just immediately kicking you in the back of the leg. So I went, all right, I don't know what it was, but I know how to manage it. I know how to manage pain in the modern day from a nervous system perspective. So I was like, okay, let me start with some low-hanging fruit. I'm just going to look at the motor points of all the stuff around there. And these are areas of the nervous system that get very close to the dermal, the skin layer of the skin. There are maps of them. You can go search motor points, dermal. Motor points would be the one, probably. Hotspots, trigger points is another way that they say the same thing. So I am using the diagram. I'm using a electrode detector kind of thing for that. So I'm just moving this thing around the general area that's on the diagram for where the motor point is. And as you pick up the electric current, this thing starts to go, so you know you're on it. Without that device, you have to be really good at finding this just little dimple-like point on the skin. So I did both. I looked at the diagram, I found that with the electrode thingy, and then I searched on it and went, yeah, there's the dimple. So I played with those dimples, and I'd touch it, and I would try, like, I was just thinking, how can I restore some function? So function number one, if you can't stand on that side, is to stand equally. So that was all I was focused on, was let me get to weight bearing, just stationary. So I'm playing with those motor points. I find one, I try and stand up and go, all right, that's a little bit better. And then I find another one, and then I create some traction. You can kind of search all these motor points in an east, south, north, west, and all of its angles type of an idea. Typically, you'll find a direction or two that help you. So I found two that helped. And went, okay, that's like 0 weight bearing to I'm putting maybe 30-40% of my weight onto that leg now. It's like, okay, that's better than nothing. Like that, I can limp now. Where getting to the tape, getting to the tool, I just crawled. Like there's no point in me trying to get from my room to the living room where all that stuff was. Like, how am I going to get there? I can't put weight on this foot. I just woke up, which is when things are typically the absolute worst, but I needed to get to work on it. It's like, I don't want to deal with this the rest of the day. So I got to the point where I could at least, use the wall and limp. I got into the truck. I drove to a medical supply business. I rented crutches. I get on the crutches. It's like, okay, at least now I can move. At least I can start playing with some things, and I can use these to help shift my weight. I can use these to try and fake walking until I can walk, and I'll get to work. So I'm back to playing with motor points. I'm back to playing with lymphatic drainage. I'm back to playing with breathing. My thought process is I'm ramped up. I got to bring myself down. Not a lot of it helped that much. Like, again, it got me to be able to limp with support, which, again, no weight bearing to limp with support. I'll take it. So now I'm dealing with that, and I kept trying very similar stuff. Try and move my ankle, try and move at my knee, try and move at my hip. I went to the opposing joints in the elbow, the shoulder, and the wrist. I'm not getting very far. And I'm going, okay, I got to think of this differently. And I went, historically, I've got a lot of vestibular issues because of a lot of concussion and chewing up Advil and that can make damage to your vestibular canals as well. I've had gut stuff. I've had plenty of antibiotics over my life to ruin my gut, along with terrible food. So the gut the processing of our balance and the gut live in the same area of the brain in the insular cortex. So I'm going, balance seems like a reasonable place to look at this. So I tested all the canals. So sure enough, left, right, horizontal, posterior, anterior, right posterior, left anterior, right anterior. Otolith stem on tipping was where I started. And I went, okay, these ones were blurry. So I went, let's start, like again, my goal, equal weight bearing. So I am shifting my weight while doing this drill. And I found one head movement. It was the right posterior canal, 50-50 weight bearing. So the question of when have you experienced an immediate change? I experienced an immediate change when it went pop. I experienced an immediate change when I found a head movement that my brain and nervous system needed. So it created activation in an area that needed activation, and my performance immediately changed. So now I'm weight bearing, like 50-50 going, like it's exciting when you find something that takes you from the ouch, it hurts to it doesn't hurt, or I can do something that I couldn't do. Like it's really exciting. So I'm like, yes, like I found something. So I go, okay, right posterior canal. Let's check the other right cerebellar driven canal, right anterior. Not that big. Well, let me check the paired canal on the same side, which would be left anterior. Another big change. I'm like, okay. Right posterior, left anterior head movements are something that I need to start doing. And I go, well, how am I doing? And so I could keep my weight on 50-50. I try and take a walk. It was like, dang it, like still better. Like I'm not in wall support mode. I am just using crutches, but like just slowly adding weight to it, using the crutches as much as I need to, as little as I can, to say, now that I'm weight bearing, I need to start being able to walk again. So that's how I started working on walking, was using the crutches and just going super slow. I tried to make it look like nothing was wrong. So as slow as that took, as small as that took, to make it look like nothing was wrong, I'd use that weight as much as I needed to as I gained more pressure onto that standing leg. And I started adding head movements to it. Oh, it's like 25-30% better. And then I added aftershocks, which is a bone conduction with a certain frequency that makes the balance nerve work. Try 100 hertz and 500 hertz. I found 100 hertz, took it to like, now I can walk with 75% of my ability. I'm like, okay, what else can I stack on this? I've got vestibular canals. I've got balance stimulation from hearing. And I looked at Z-Vibe. That's right. So I had the Z-Vibe, which is a vibrating tool. They made it for kids and oral rehab and autistic kids that need oral stimulation. But ultimately, there are a ton of little pieces that you can screw into this device and it vibrates. I use it because I have had wisdom teeth surgeries, braces, some just sensitivity and pain, so some oral history. And your cranial nerve 5 trigeminal nerve is a big part of your teeth sensation, your mouth sensation, hot and cold on your tongue, stuff like that. And it's one of the tools that Z Health recommends to just start, like, if you put it on your tongue, you're getting major insular activation. Insular activation and balance activation go hand in hand. So I'm looking, and then we've got cranial nerve 5, cranial nerve 6 is distance, 7 is facial features, 8 is that vestibulocochlear, the balance and hearing nerve. So they're not that close together, but I went, it's worked, it's helped me in the past, and I'm going to make sure I hit my tongue with it and bite on it. So I'm getting a cranial nerve 5 and insular activation with the cranial 5 and the pons activation, which is posterior musculature. So I went, calf problem, posterior musculature. Look, we could play with this. So, or it's more about extension. So that would be posterior musculature. So I'm biting on the Z vibe. I'm listening to this 100 hertz buzzing in my ears, or just in front of my ears on the bone conduction. I am knocking out 5 of these, 5 of those, and then just working on walking. It got so that was the start of it. 2.5 days later, I'm off crutches. And I just kept practicing. It was like, do that drill or do that as if I was on a soccer field or something. I would do as much. So I'd bite, try and listen to my surroundings, add that head movement, and luckily, just the head movements themselves did make a noticeable change. So I'm doing that often. I get home and I do the full set, full structure, and I'm realizing, man, it's much more the push off than it is the heel strike or the catch. So I went, maybe if I start, instead of just equal weight and practicing walking, what if I start working on that push off? I could walk without crutches. No joke. 2.5 days later, still a big calf, still all swollen, but I went from I can't put weight onto it, I can put equal body weight on it, I can walk without crutches. That was huge. So we had an athletic trainer in our world at that time, and she's like, she sees me on crutches. She's like, "What did you do?" It's like, "Nothing. I'm fine." And she goes, "Okay, please let me take a look." I went, "Thompson test is negative." She goes, I was in the athletic training program. She's like, I'm going to go, "Do you want to do any other tests, or was that the one that you were thinking about?" She goes, "Well, that was the one I was thinking about." I went, "I've done it. I don't need to poke at it, prod at it, squeeze it, make it painful. I'm good." And she went, "Yeah, if I had to guess based on where it is, based on how you did it, it would be this muscle. It'll probably take 6 to 8 weeks, and you won't even notice it ever happened." I went, "Got it, thank you." Back to my world. So that was the drill I started with, and it got me to being able to walk. And then I went, well, what's next? Well, starting to be able to hit soccer balls again. I'm a goalkeeper coach, and I take pride in my ability to hit one. And I cannot hit a soccer ball. So I just, in my place, just started going, okay, well, let me start practicing the most basic movement of ball striking. And it was like, yeah, I'm very far away from that. I kept working on that drill. I added smell to that drill. That changed it. I kept adding the motor point taping. That helped. And the more I felt better, this is the cool part about brains, is they're plastic, meaning they change. So if you are practicing changing your brain, you get better at changing it. So in this scenario, the more time I can spend with my weight equal, the faster my brain will change to have my weight equal. The faster I can get back to walking, the faster my brain will change to go back to pain-free walking. Neuroplastic change. So that has been the approach over and over. Now I'm walking a lot. I'm doing backwards walking, forward walking, all with the activation pieces. And a fast forward, I've talked about it enough because we are talking about instant change, and we just highlighted that instant change can happen in the way that you don't want it. Then that absolutely means that it can happen in the way that you do want it. Because if I'm good and I can't walk, to now I can't walk, now I'm good. That's pretty freaking awesome, and that is the power of your nervous system, and that is what is possible. So I took a 6 to 8 week injury. I was back to striking balls, doing my job. I would say I was 85% there. Back doing everything I needed to do. It was 2 weeks and 4 days. And that is pretty awesome, and that is the power of a neurologic or applied neurology education. I'm trying to use the words that Z Health uses just to make sure that people don't come at me and be like, nah, physiology. It's like, yeah, part of it, but yeah, no, you're right. It's not, I'm not a neurophysiologist. I'm not a neurologist either. I am a person that is pursuing knowledge and education, and I don't think that letters behind your name should prevent you from learning things. So I pursue. Everything I do as a movement coach is based on movement. Even if it's weird head movement stuff, it's involved in movement. It's your fault if you don't know that. Not my fault. So that was the power of this. So I'm fine. I know I'm stressed. I know I should be careful. Pop, and like I've never experienced something like that. Like I had a broken arm, finger, or hand bone in college. I got the torn labrum, but there was nothing like that. The elbow, nothing like that. This was like, wow, I can't walk flat out. Like, did I just literally sever something off the bone? Don't know. But I didn't care about the structure because the neurology is what I cared about. Like, we can do all sorts of stuff to our bodies. We can tear things, we can fracture things. We doesn't necessarily, often does, but not necessarily mean we got to go in and fix that structural problem. So that's where I was. It was like, I am not going to a doctor. I'm not going to a surgeon. I'm not going to a PT. That hasn't helped in the past. So let me see if I can work on this myself. So 2 weeks and 4 days later, I'm back to striking balls. But that moment of finding the direction is everything. It's like, I can't put I can put weight on this. Let me start walking. Oh, I can walk better now with adding that movement. I can't push off though. Let me start doing them on calf raises. Then let me start doing them on single calf raise. Like, it progressed really well to the point where I never had to go out and deal with the issue. I dealt with it every morning waking up. It was always the worst. I went from zero weight bearing again to just faster getting back to being able to walk because I had an idea of what I needed to do to rehab it. So, wild, immediate change. I think that is an important concept that we need to kind of consider on both sides. If I can immediately be injured, why can't I immediately be healthy? I don't see why not, and it's not rocket science. Like, it does make sense neurologically why that would be possible. So think about where you've gotten immediate change and where you'd like to have immediate change. Another place was learning the motor control exercise of my upper body and limbs. I didn't think about it. Did you ever learn how to move from your brain's perspective? Your brain makes movement happen, if you didn't know that. But have you ever learned how to move? Typically, we learn a sport or we play a sport, and we learn how to move well enough to get through that sport. Go figure, professional athletes, they find ways to make the most mundane, simple movements novel again. They think about them differently. They feel them differently. They put them in different contexts. Where the average person will get to, I'm good enough mode. I'm good enough. And that good enough, if you don't keep trying to change things, leads to, I'm starting to decline. But that's the coolest part of this stuff, in my opinion, is that change can be immediate. It doesn't have to stick. But what's worse? Going through a progression over 2 weeks and 4 days where everything you're doing is making good, incremental, noticeable changes to the performance that you want, or like my shoulder, going through 8 weeks of physical therapy, it always just kind of aching and hurting in similar ways, but you are now with a 5-pound dumbbell doing these things instead of a 3-pound one. It's green and not pink. I put 20 pounds on the lat pull down. I am getting shocked and heated and stemmed and iced and all sorts of stuff every day, ultrasounded every day. Yet, and I don't feel like I can go play in goal. Which one would you rather have? And it's a no-brainer for me. Like we're in a place now that we can find immediate impact and then work from there. It doesn't have to be 6 to 8 weeks, cross our fingers. That means we didn't find the right things. If we go to the brain and we go to how the brain is operating, we do a health history with everybody, very good in detail, understanding what these events do to a brain, what areas of the brain could potentially be affected, how do I assess that area of the brain, and then how do I train it? How do I activate it? That's the next process for us as people, is taking control of the individualized nature of the human nervous system, taking it or respecting the overall power of the human nervous system. Talks to your body at 300 miles an hour. You find something that your brain needs, you can change your body like that. Again, sometimes it sticks. Sometimes it leads to a direction for more work to continue improving. For me, I didn't get the woo. I got the okay, that's a little bit better. This is a little bit better. Try that. Oh man, all right, we're in the right direction. I'm now weight bearing, and then moving from there. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. Was where have you experienced immediate change in your life? I experienced plenty of immediate change when it came to ouch, this hurts, or learning a math problem. And it wasn't until Z Health that I started experiencing the other side of immediate change of I just did that and it feels a lot better, like a lot better. And that was the sequence of events with my torn labrum. Like learned Z Health and started doing that work. I didn't have any rhyme or reason to it. I was just practicing what I learned. But I went, this area, if it is, like I was still thinking body. And so I went, I need to work on my thoracic mobility. I need to work on the coordination of my shoulder complex. I need, like, my neck is super tight. I need to work on the mobility of those vertebrae. And that sequence of doing some glides, doing some shoulder circles, doing some head turning was like, wow, my shoulder feels fine. Like, fine. Like, typically it's this, like, tight, pinchy, achy, dull something. And every morning doing those 3 movements was like, all right, I can go. Another place where I experienced immediate change early in my Z Health career was I lifted a ton of weights. Strength and conditioning coach. I worked in a gym setting for years and I lifted a lot of weight. I had always a weak lefter side, a weaker left side. And it's later in the day again. And I don't have fuel. I set myself up for failure for this one. But I shoulder press, pistol squat, or I couldn't pistol squat, lunges, rear foot elevated split squats, single leg deadlifts, anything where it was my left side, it was just straight up weaker. So the natural approach is do more work, try and do more weight, do more reps, do another set, something of the sort. Everything got stronger, but that was always weaker from years of being in the gym and lifting. We learned about the optokinetic reflex. And again, there was no rhyme or reason to me doing this stuff initially. It was learn stuff. Wow, I have a lot of tools to play with. Put them on all of my clients, do them for myself as a warm-up. And I talked about that initial day of like training my brain. But I was still a strength and conditioning coach. I was still using this stuff with that type of a thought process. It wasn't until later that I flipped to, oh, your brain is everything. Everything. So target that. Oh, everything in this gym now just became tools. And some of them are tools that I will probably never use again. So I branched out and got out of the gym setting just to be more involved with what exactly those people wanted to be better at, versus, hey, we're going to do all these gym things and now you're going to be great at all that stuff. That really never made sense, even in the working with athletes in the strength and conditioning world. It's like, how do we know they're getting better at their sport? Well, and what I was told was we're the mechanics. You bring the car in. Their sport, that's their racing coach. Their coach that teaches them how to race on the track. And I went, I don't I don't see it as separate. I never did. It was like everything we do here should impact their ability to play their sport there. But it was not the common way of thinking about it. We are the mechanics. We make sure that the body has a foundation of strength, power, mobility, whatever, so that they can now go do their sport stuff. I always thought it should probably be more of the same. So I'm thinking like, how can we turn that prowler push into a lineman ripping around the corner and having to essentially jockey with the guy in front of him? Can we use it that way? Nope. Prowler sled, have him run with it. It's like, okay. So just kept cruising with that, learned about neuroanatomy and neurology, and went, oh, great. Let me go to the world that they want to be better at. That's the best place to help them get better at what they want to get better at. If you have the tools. If you don't have the tools, yeah, gotta make your own ground and say, come to us, where I just get to go to any person that wants to be better at whatever they're doing in that exact setting, and then we do work there. We train there. It's fun. It's really fun. Getting tired. So the change, I learned a tool, optokinetic reflex. It is a bars, white and black bars moving across my cell phone screen. It's the easiest way I can give you the example. Look up OKR, optokinetic reflex. It's not a me thing. It's not a Z Health thing. We know about it as people. So I'm playing with that. And I'm playing with it specifically around lifts because I was doing it for doing stuff for warm-ups. I was like, hey, doc, what would be next? He's like, integrate it into your lift. I went, oh, I didn't really think of that. I had correctives and different movements that I would do during rest breaks or supplementary movements. So things to support the main lift that I was doing, or auxiliary movements, I think is what they call them. And so I've just got this thing in front of my face, and I went, well, my left side is worse, and we were taught kind of the brain structures that are involved. So left voluntary movement, right cortex driven, left cerebellum controlled and modulated. And I went, well, so if I put these bars to the right, that will fire my right cortex, fire my left cerebellum. All right, let me do that during the rest break of my kettlebell overhead press. Stare at this thing for about 30 seconds, go do a set, complete equal strength. Yeah, like, what? Like, crazy. Like, yeah, that obvious. Like, pop, what? I've spent years trying to make that side as strong as the right. I look at a black and white bar moving across the screen and pop, there's another big immediate change. That's good for now. I'm tired. I'm just going to start rambling. So immediate change. It's possible. Good or bad. Just know that.